So, this is going to be my last stream, audio only. I've got a camera going for next time. So, the plan is on the 22nd, EverQuest is releasing the new TLP server. I'm going to be doing that one live, and hopefully we'll have a fun show. But right now, we're going to talk about what's been going on. Now, I've been spending a lot more time on social media looking at what people are saying about the markets. Now, for the past few years, I've mostly kept to myself. It's about what I think without being distracted that's the most important. I originally started getting into everything and just really diving into how to learn it and what it is. And just every little thing, I absorbed everything finance. I was watching finance channels all the time. I was studying videos on every single platform you can imagine. I was reading articles. I was trying to get courses. I was trying to do all of that. That was like 7 years ago at this point. And now I'm at a point where I don't want to see any of that. I want to make my own decisions. Because the information that I need is what the investment does and what the hype is around it. That's all I need to see. I don't need to hear anybody else's opinion, although I like to, and it helps. In fact, seeing what people are thinking about the stock is extremely important. So one thing I've noticed, and it's probably been one of the pieces of the puzzle that I've been missing, is that sentiment is extremely important. I used to hear these numbers from the consumer sentiment surveys. You know, there's the University of Michigan one that just came out, and there are a few others, but that's a big one that you'll see all over the news. And it basically asks a bunch of investors what they think of the market at this time and where it's going. And a lot of people right now are extremely bearish because they're afraid. And rightly so. There's a bunch of stuff that's going on that's problematic. We have a lot of stuff to look forward to that is not great. But that doesn't mean that we're in the situation that some of these people think we are. So I got into a conversation today with somebody that's just an ultra bear. I'm talking like level infinity bear, showing me actually really good evidence. And that's the thing about bears. They always have really good evidence. That's what's so great about it. It's like people don't understand that the evidence for being a bear is so strong that you can't blame anybody that's a bear. Really smart people are going to be bears because it's easily provable. Everything says that we should be going down. But we don't. Why is that? Ask yourself that. Why is it that we should be going down, but we don't? And it's been like this for decades. Every piece of data says we should be going down, but we don't. Why is that? Now, if you ask 20 different people, they'll all give you a different answer. But one of the common answers you'll see through that is that it's rigged. Is it rigged? I don't know. Truthfully, nobody really does. But I think at least parts of it are rigged. At the very least, parts of it are rigged. So those people that are able to rig that, if you have the absolute power to rig that, why would you let it crash? Ask yourself that. No, honestly, sit there and think about it. Like, let go of all your biases and think about everything. If you had the ability to rig the market, which 90% of people agree is happening in some form or another, I mean, you could take people from all over the political spectrum, all over any side of any part of societal spectrum, and they'll tell you, yeah, it's probably rigged, including people that you think are rigging the market. They'll say it's rigged too. So we all think it's rigged, but yet we can't agree on how it's rigged. So what could be the reason that the market continues to go up while all the data says we should be going down? Think about this, all right? It doesn't take much intelligence. Because it's rigged. Okay? It's rigged. Yes, you're right. But that's not a bad thing. Everybody thinks it's this evil thing. It's just, we're all screwed because one entity wants to kill us all. Why? Why would an entity want to kill everybody? Have you ever wanted to fuck in your life? I mean, entities want people around to fuck, at least, at the bare minimum. So there's going to be like some continuation of society. People don't want to kill everybody. It's not this Hunger Games bullshit that everyone's afraid of. It's never going to be the Hunger Games, okay? It can get more dystopian. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect. I'm saying that there's no way that people who have control of this are going to burn it down. All the people that want to burn it down are the ones that are in dire straits. The people that are actually having a good time want to maintain it. But truthfully, nobody wants to burn it down. Even the people that think they do really don't. They just want certain freedoms and certain accessibility that they're not able to get. And that's why we see all these protests, and that's why we see all this contention. Well, actually, the protests we're seeing because people are funding things and interests are getting out there, and it's an election year, and it's totally not in any way a coincidence that every election year we tend to have all these crazy protests and riots and stuff. Has nothing to do with that. It's totally organic, right? Why didn't this happen when all this stuff started going off last year? Why is it that all of a sudden this is happening? It's totally not rigged, right? Yeah, no, it's totally not rigged. But if you're able to be an adult and look at the situation as an adult, you can see that there's some nefarious stuff going on. Interests have interests. That's why they're called interests. So they're going to do what's in their best interest. And what is that? To create confusion so they can get their message through. And everybody wants the confusion. Every political party wants the confusion because it allows their message to get to their followers easier. It allows corporations, politicians, everybody to get their message out. So it's in the elite's best interest to keep us fighting, keep us distracted, keep us uninformed, right? That's what you hear all the time. But here's the little detail that they're all leaving out. Every single one of them is leaving out this one detail. Nobody wants to destroy society. Everybody just wants to fix things. They want to destroy the parts of society that they think are wrong, but they don't want to destroy society as a whole. And really, most of us on the political spectrum agree on everything. It's just this echo chamber thing that social media allows that keeps us crazy. Why is every political issue such a big fight now? You know, it used to be that we had these political issues, but we talked about them and then we went about our day and we all had the common interest of surviving and making life better for everybody. But now there's just all this crazy stuff going on. Well, that's because of the echo chambers. So those echo chambers don't just affect politics. They don't just affect society. They affect the markets. So why did I just go on this big old rant about all of that? Because it's a rant about perspective. And you need to understand that everybody has a perspective. You don't know the way, you just have a perspective. Just like me, I have a perspective. I have limits. It's every single one of us is living inside a house and looking at the world through a window. There is nobody that's not, even the most connected people. Think of everybody you like and are afraid of that are famous and powerful. They are living in a house looking out a window too. It's just different locations that the house sits on. At this point, some people are seeing terrible things, which means they're lashing out because of those terrible things. And we need to listen to that. It's important to listen to the people that are in pain. When something's crazy that's going on and you're emotionally triggered by it, it's because there's actually a problem somewhere. It may not be the problem that you're focusing on or being told to focus on, but there's a problem there that's causing the behavior that's upsetting you. So whether you're on the right, the left, or in the center, there is pain everywhere, and that's what's causing the stuff that you don't like. And it's the same thing for the markets. If you get to a point in a society where people can't agree on anything, it's easy to pass off misinformation, which is what we have everywhere. The left, the right, the center, they're all passing off misinformation because it's in their best interest. If they make people confused, if they make people scared, upset, everything, every negative emotion you can think of, it gets them better results. So they're going to keep doing it. But the way to get around that and actually make money is to keep a level head and look at what they're doing. What is everybody doing? So I brought up this bear that I got in a conversation with today, actually. Now, this bear is convinced that this is, quote, the end. But it's also something that they've seen before. So it's not the end. It's just another crash. But to them, it's so extreme that it's the end. It's the one. It's all those bears they've been listening to. It's finally their time. Is it really their time? Like, think about that honestly. Any bear you've ever seen, all the stuff that they claim, is it really coming to roost right now at this very moment? This second? No. If Drake and Kendrick Lamar are beefing and that's the biggest story, no. Things are fine. Okay, as long as there's a Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing going on, things are great. And that's what people don't understand. Even if it's not great for you at this very moment, things in general for most people are fine. If there was a nuclear war, we wouldn't be talking about Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Okay, that's what you have to keep in mind. If there's a crazy thing going on, we really, like something so crazy that society was actually going to collapse and you might actually be in danger, we would be talking about that. Because even the people in power are just regular people too. They're afraid. They don't know what they're doing. They're in echo chambers. You think they have different information? Yeah, they do. But is it really that different? No. It's all the same shit. There's not some crazy thing going on somewhere that a few people know and everybody else doesn't. There might be. I can't say that for sure that there's not, some insanely out of perspective thing that's going on that we don't know. In fact, there probably is. But the caveat on that is that it's not going to be the thing you think it is. And that's the important point. So how is it that lately I've been able to make really good trades when everybody else is just completely screwing up in a bull market? How are even the bears failing? We keep having all these down days. We're not going up any farther. How are the bears failing too? Because they're not taking this into account. It's not the end. You're listening to the things that you feel strongly about. You're not listening to reality. You want these certain things to happen so that the things that you want can come to be. The bears want everything to collapse because they don't like the way it is, and they want this new society to come about. And they've been worrying about important things and other people haven't. And they're mad that people aren't paying attention to it. So they're trying so hard to tell them and nobody's listening. So their emotions are at an absolute end. So they want it to collapse too because they want their version of reality to come in. That's what a bear is. A bear wants all the bad stuff to go away so that the good stuff can come in. It's not that bears are logical. It's that they're butthurt and they can't get over it. They can be as smart as they want. They can be as good at trading as they want, but they're still a bear. They're still butthurt. That B is the same. Butthurt and bear are the same thing. But guess what? Bull also starts with a B. You know why bulls are bulls? Because they've been hurt too. And they want the thing to go up forever because they're scared and they're afraid and it hurts and they just want things to be better. They want that masturbatory, ejaculatory future that they've been promised and haven't received. The bulls and the bears are the problem. People who are neutral are not. Now, people who are neutral don't get anything done. They don't make progress. And they can do terrible things based on pure neutrality. In fact, neutral people are some of the worst people ever. But they're also some of the best people. All those figures in history that you revere, they're not on your side. They were more neutral. That's why they ascended beyond everybody else. They didn't ascend as far as they wish they ascended, but they ascended just far enough to be able to see reality for what it is. And that's how you make money. So bringing all of this stupid, crazy rant to one thing, the way to make money is to look at reality for what it is, no matter how butthurt you are. You have to get past your butthurt. And that is impossible for 99% of people. I shouldn't say impossible. It's difficult. And difficulty is hard. And we're raised in a society where everything's easy, even if you're broke, compared to the past. Now, if you're broke compared to ultra rich now, obviously there's a difference. But if you're broke compared to 100,000 years in the past, don't even tell me that you have it bad. You could be the brokest, craziest, most horribly lucked person on the planet, and you still have it better than kings of 100,000 years ago. And you know it too. Now, you may not be making all of it because you're looking at what other people can make and what you should be making, and the fact that your situation is not fair. No, it's not. It's not fair for any of us. 100% right. It is not fair for any of us. But if you're able to say, okay, it's not fair, what do I do? That's all you have to say. You can move on. And it's the same thing with trading. It's the same thing with life, and it's the same thing with trading. You just accept the fact that things are the way they are. You pay attention to the way they move, and you say, okay, if this is how they move, what is it going to do next? Not what I want it to do, not what I think it's going to do. What will it actually do? And the way you figure that out is you look at history and you look at how things normally go. And you look at what the data is when they go. And you don't pay attention to the specific numbers. You pay attention to the percentages because that's an easier way to gauge it. Inflation is going to change the numbers. Yeah, things are crazy now, but guess what? Are the percentages out of whack for what they were 50 years ago? No. In some cases they are, but in average things, no. Things balance out. Whatever the bottom dollar is eventually becomes the standard, and everything above that is still at its same percentage, in at least close to it. Now, everything's not perfect. Some things are different. But in this case, we've got a market that everybody thinks is over. So this bear that I was talking to absolutely assumed that we were done because jobs were dropping. Now, if you look at unemployment, if you look at all the statistics that are around that, not just unemployment, you'll see that things have been dropping a little bit. Unemployment is going up. So that means less people are able to get jobs, let's say. Fewer companies are hiring, right? Fewer positions are available, and the same amount or more people are looking for them and competing for them. So that means that desperation is starting to go up. We don't realize that in the past few years, workers have had the upper hand. There have been so few workers and so many jobs that even if you didn't have a whole lot of experience, you were able to get a good amount of money if you were willing to apply yourself. Now, that's not for everybody. Not everybody can apply themselves, or not everybody is in the position to be able to, or has the willpower to be able to, for example. But there were corporations, there were companies, there were businesses that needed people, and those people weren't there. So they were hiring with increased wages, with increased benefits, with easier jobs, with there were fewer barriers to entry. Now that things have gone down a little bit and the market has gone up, there are barriers to entry. Companies are still making money, but workers are increasing. So the pool of labor is increasing, and businesses have a better selection of candidates, which means they can be pickier, which means people aren't getting jobs as easily as they were just a couple of years ago. So what does that say for the direction that we're headed? It means more people are going to be unemployed. It means wages are eventually going to peak and probably come down, which is not good for fighting inflation as far as our pocketbooks. But it's good for reducing inflation as far as the Fed goes, as far as businesses go. Now, the corporate world, the industrial world, wants inflation to come down just as bad as everybody else. Now, the poorest among us have the hardest time when inflation goes up because basic goods cost more and they can get fewer basic goods where they could already only get just a few. So what do you do when your costs are rising and your money is not increasing or even decreasing? You cut back. And that's what people are doing. But if you look at the data, you'll see that the average person is not. And you think, how is it that my life has declined a bit, but the average person in the data has either increased or sustained? Well, the first and most obvious point is that the data is massaged. It's not the normal data. They're doing things to make it look better than it is. Yes. But the second point is it as bad as the bears want to say? Absolutely not. That's why the S&P is where it is. So I've got the SPY up. I've got it on the year-to-date scale. So what does it look like? It's a continuous uptrend. Now, we've had a drop, obviously a really big drop, after having a very smooth ride, which didn't look as smooth. When you're in the moment, this doesn't look that smooth. But if you're taking a step back from the butt hurt, like I mentioned, and looking at things over the long term, this is extremely smooth. So when we were down a couple percent, people were freaking out. I was elated because this was nothing. And we're back at it, and this trend continues. And the bears fight with me. Every dip, the bears fight with me every single time. It's the end, it's the end, it's the end. It doesn't matter if it's this little drop right here, that's not even $1, or it's this drop right here, that's a couple of bucks. The bears are always telling me it's time. They're Peter Schiffing me, Peter Schiff is one dude, and he sells gold, which does better when everything else goes down. So his incentive is to make you think that things are worse than they are. And the people that like him need to understand that, but they don't. Because they're butthurt too, and they want somebody that's butthurt telling them what's up, which is what Peter Schiff is doing. Peter Schiff is capitalizing on your butthurt. And I don't think people understand that. The bear case, and here's the thing, I'm not technically a bull. I sound like a perma bull, but I'm not. I'm a neutral investor. And I'm trying to tell the bears, you're close. You're closer than the bulls. Yes. And nobody will acknowledge that. Yes. But you're just a little off because you're too bearish. You don't realize that the same thing that you're worried about is the reason the market's going to continue. Rigging and inflation are why we continue. Those two things that you think are going to be the downfall are the thing that keeps us going. Yes, powerful people rig certain things. They put money towards certain things. And if they can't rig it, they outfund it. Yes. But what are they doing? Are they really trying to destroy everything? No. Why is that? Because they want cool stuff and they want to fuck people. And if we're in total chaos, neither of those are going to happen for them. Jeff Bezos and all those people, look at Jeff Bezos. What's he been doing? He's been taking steroids and fucking weird-looking models. That's what most millionaires would do. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, what gender you are. You're going to do the same equivalent no matter what is going on. You're going to live your little masturbatory orgasm dream that you had at 12 years old, that you wish you could, and now that time has gone on, you think is never going to happen. That's what everybody would do. So that's what he's doing. He's just a typical person that got that much money, but he was willing to take a risk at the right time. He's not smart. Nobody is smart. Some people are, maybe. Let's just say a couple of people are, but most people are not smart. They're just lucky and in the right place. But here's the other thing they are, that people aren't willing to admit. They're bold. You can talk all the shit you want about Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Pick your person. They're bold and they're willing to take a risk. And you think, well, what about all those people that took a risk and failed? Exactly. That's the point. Somebody's going to succeed. But the pool of applicants allows for any of these motherfuckers to succeed. And some people are going to rig it and some people aren't. So if you just at least throw your hat in the ring of the ultra lucky motherfuckers, even if you're not as well funded as them, you have a shot. Yeah, a lottery ticket's a stupid idea, but if you win, is it really stupid? How stupid is it for all of the lottery winners? It's not. It's the best decision they ever made. Even if they lost it all, it's still the best decision they ever made. And you could be the same thing. And let's say you throw your hat in the ring and you don't get picked, like 99% of people that do. Oh, well, all those other people didn't get picked either because they didn't even try. What are they going to say when they're on their deathbed, when they're too old to do all the things that they wanted to do? What are they going to say? They're going to say, I wish I at least tried. And guess what? You did. So even if you failed and you tried, you have a story to tell. You have a past. You have something real. You learned something. You didn't just hear things and go about your life. Most of these people that are fighting literally just shove dildos in their ass to feel better. It doesn't matter who they are. What are they doing? They're like, I don't want to do anything to feel pleasure, so I'm just going to sit on a dildo and then I'm going to feel better. That's what 2024 and beyond is. It's people either sitting on the dildos hoping the dildos will make them millionaires, or people that are taking the pain and getting out there and doing the shit. What are you? Are you doing the shit or are you sitting around? I'm doing the shit. Am I successful? Fuck no. But which one of you motherfuckers are doing this too? Tell me. Anybody that's listening to this right now, what are you doing? Are you on here talking this dumb shit to nobody? No, not to nobody. There are a few people. I love you and I'm glad you're here. But it's not 100,000 people. It's not 1,000 people. It's not even 100 people. You know, it's a small amount of people that I like and like me. And maybe a few randos every once in a while. That's it. But you know what? I absolutely love you, and I'm so glad you're here. And I hope you continue to come back. And I hope when I have the camera in a couple weeks, you're here hanging out and having fun, because that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm absolutely terrified to do this. I just want you to know. I'm not some like bold person. I just do things because I'm more scared not to than to do them. Which is why I get weird results. Sometimes I make a trade and I absolutely kill it. And sometimes I make a trade and it's not so good, or it's a break even. But ask yourself this. As long as I've been doing this, as long as any of you have been talking to me, have I ever blown up an account? Have I ever gotten so massacred that I just quit? Technically, yes, on one of those. I did get so massacred that I almost quit once. But did I quit? No. 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. No, it was 2 years ago. No, it was 3 years ago because it was 2021, not 2022. So yeah, 3 years ago, I got massacred and I wanted to quit. But luckily at the time, friends had started to get into investing and they were the ones that propped me up. Like Salome Fishby, I don't know if you're here. You propped me up so well. You were one of the people that kept me going. In fact, I even told you about the investment that almost crippled me. And you were in it too for a little bit. And it didn't go well. It was a last minute absolute blowout. It was one of the things that if it had gone well, excuse me, if it had gone well, Salome Fishby and I, we'd be absolute millionaires right now. We'd be living it up. We'd be selling courses and guruing and just not caring about trading anymore because we made our money. But it didn't work. Got blown up. He was smart and took more of a caution than I did. I put like a third of my net worth into this thing. I had worked for years to build up $1,000, $1,500. I started with $1,500. In my 30s, I realized I had nothing. I had no investments. I had this little account that had like cents in it from a very short stint. It seemed long at the time, but in the grand scheme of things, wasn't even a year with a government job, amazing pay, amazing benefits, crazy life, owning a house when I'm 21, doing all this stuff, making six figures, like 2 decades ago, almost. That's insane. If you think making six figures is good now, making six figures 20 years ago was so much better. You know, fresh out, like teenager still, just, or early 20s, I should say, just absolutely crushing it. You know, and then I ran into a tough patch. I ran into a part of my life that absolutely crippled me. I will never be the same because of it. But what did I do? I wallowed in the trenches and hoped I would die. Like a lot of us would do. There's a certain level of despair that you don't want to live anymore. Your mentality can't take as much as your physical form can. Your physical form can take punishment to the very end, but your mentality, that's got the limits on it. So my mentality was crushed and I was ready to die. So I just said, fuck it. I'm going to do whatever I want. And what's funny about that is that's actually the thing that set me free. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through that level of despair. But the thing is, if you do and you survive it, your life will be amazing. You won't be the people on the news in the tragic situation. You won't be the angry people fighting. You won't be doing any of that stuff. You'll be living life because all you say is, hey, I just don't want to feel bad anymore. And once you get to that point, you say, what is it that's making me feel bad? It's stuff that I'm holding on to. So if you look at any of these echo chambers, any of these political arguments, any of these social arguments, there's something that people are holding on to that they won't let go of, which is why they'll fight to the death for dumb shit, or why they'll do crazy things for attention. It's because they haven't escaped that thing that they have to have this constant orgasm. You're told by society you have to have this orgasm, and you're never going to get it. So how do you reconcile that once you get to adulthood and you don't have the orgasm all the time? You either go the path of putting the dildo in your ass every day, or you say, fuck it, and start trying to do some stuff. And that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at trading. So now getting to the actual aspects of trading, because I keep ranting, I know. Why is it that this year I'm up and a ton of people are talking about the fact that in a bull market, they're not doing well? Well, the difference between most people and me is it's been just over 5 months in this year, and I've made like 5 trades. How many trades do you think the average trader has made in this time? Hundreds, probably. And that's their problem. They're not looking for the really good trades and waiting to size up on those. They want the dildo in their ass, and they're trying to get it today. I need to go into options. I need to go into meme coins. I need to go into Forex with 100x leverage. I want the dildo now. Well, let me tell you, you're not going to get the dildo. The life is never going to give you the dildo. And you don't want the dildo. You want the real thing. And you're not going to get it because you're not even going to get the dildo. So back to seriousness, because this is absolutely absurd. And I apologize for people that this horrifies, because I know there's at least one of you listening to this that this kind of talk will horrify you. So I'm sorry for that. But I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to make an extreme point because it's very important that people understand that the reason they're failing in life, the reason they're failing in trading, and the reason they're failing on everything they try is because they're paying attention to their emotions and what they want or what they think versus what is actually happening. So the thing that helps me trade better is the fact that I suffered horribly and detached from reality to the point where I can just watch it. So most people will look at all this evidence that the bears are looking at and think that we're always going to be turning down. And that's why, because they're still in that state. But I'm thinking, okay, it does look like that, but what actually happens? We just continue to go up. People think that it's different today than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, people were freaking out. We had just had the dot-com crash. And before that, there was a 90s crash, 1987 crash. There was inflation in the 70s. You just keep going. There's crisis after crisis after crisis. But we continue to go. People think that crisis is the end. Is this Israel-Palestine thing going to be the end of the world? No. No, it's not. It never was. It never will be. The whole thing is a bunch of fucking idiots doing dumb shit. All right? I don't care how you feel about it. It's idiots everywhere doing dumb shit, which is why this is going on. And if you can't step back from that and realize, like, I have some stake in the game or I feel this way about it, but you're right. Everybody's a fucking idiot. And that's why this continues to go on and doesn't get resolved. Because there are very logical points that anybody that's not emotional can see, but we're all emotional. Not only because this is a very extreme thing, but also because we're in our echo chambers. So we're hearing what our echo chambers say about this thing. And the bears are in the echo chamber of everything's done because they're looking at, quote, facts. And that's another important thing. What are facts? Is there a fact? Is there really such thing as a fact? Everybody, well, most people will tell you, yeah, there is. And some people will say, no, everything's relative, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to tell you, I don't fucking know. But look at what happens. Okay, forget facts. What happens to the market? Let me zoom this back out. 5-year timeline. That's max timeline, actually. Let's go to 5 years. What does it look like? Oh, it looks about the same. What does it look like in a year? Oh, looks about the same. What does it look like year to date? Oh, looks about the same. What does it look 3 months? Oh, looks like a little bit sideways, but still the same. So what were you doing in the past 3 months? Were you saying it's over? Were you saying things are crazy? Were you saying we're losing more jobs, so we're going to get we're going to have a crash? That's what this bear was telling me. Joblessness is going up, so we're going to crash. And once we crash, oh, that's it. That's the one. It's the end. I literally said the end is a joke, and he ran with it. This person ran with it. So I said, what normally happens in this situation? Basically, I didn't say that directly, but that's what I was thinking. What normally happens? If you're ask yourself, well, let's go to max. What normally happens? Oh, it continues to go up. So what do you think's going to happen in the next 5 years? I know what you think. You think whatever thing you're worried about is going to destroy everything, right? 20 years ago, you would have said the same thing. Oh my God, 9/11, we're done. Oh my God, the dot-com, we're done. Oh my God, the 2008 crash, we're done. Well, what happened? Here's a 2008 crash. Here's the end of the dot-com thing after we'd pumped again. Is that 2000? Yeah, so peak of dot-com, 2000. Crash. Oh no, it's over. 9/11, crash. Oh no, it's over. What happened? We trended up for like 4 or 5 years. And then crashed. What happened then? We trended up for a decade. This little dip right here doesn't look like much, but this was insane in 2018. People talk about 2020, but they don't talk about 2018. This was insane. Look at how big 2008 was, and look at how big 2018 was. 2018 was a 2008 in a quicker span, in a shorter span. 2018 was this mismatch between what the Fed was doing and what businesses were doing. Now we don't have that same mismatch. Why is it that 2.5% rates caused the market to absolutely tank in 2018, but 5.5% causes it to pump in 2020-24? What is that? People are looking at the future in the stock market, in every investment. They're looking at the future. They're not looking at now. When I go on Twitter, all I see is like, why did this company double beat earnings and went down? This company did terribly and it went up. Tesla did terribly and they pumped. Meta did amazing. They beat earnings by 2x and they dropped. Now, that was the biggest tell that people don't know how to trade and don't know what's actually going on. Earnings gambles are not about the numbers. Yes, the numbers play a point. They have to hit some section of those numbers in some way that's favorable in order for the stock not to tank. But that is so small. That is way less than you think it is. It's all about what they promise and what the future projections are. Because that's what the analysts will say the next day. The analysts will go, oh, look at all this stuff they did and they promised this. If they do that, this is my price target. Nobody pays attention to the part that it says if they do that. They just see Tesla 200. Tesla 300. They don't see if Tesla meets the goals that it said or exceeds them, this is the range of prices that I'm thinking. No, they see Tesla 250, Tesla 500. Tesla new split. Everybody's millionaire. And then Tesla's like, hey, it's going to take us a little longer to do some stuff because a bunch of dumb idiots ran at our factory and didn't even get there. You know, that's the thing that goes on all the time. You look at all day today, it was like these protesters broke through Tesla Gigafactory Berlin and it's all over and they're storming. They didn't even get past the second fucking fence, people. They literally just ran and took a video and the media ran with it. Because what does the media do? The media needs clicks to get paid. And if the media says, oh, boring ass thing happened, nobody clicks. But if the media says, oh, dude, they stormed fucking Giga Berlin and everyone's dead, 9/11's happening, then they get clicks. And later on, they have to issue a retraction like, oh, actually, that didn't happen. It was just some people that ran on it because it was literally a day of protest that's annually set or whatever. It's some like holiday for them. They just ran it, took a video, and everybody thinks that it's over. Tesla stock was going all over the place today because people weren't sure if this was real or not. Elon Musk had to come out and be like, hey, this is not real because they didn't even get past our second fence. And you could look at this for proof. Now, you can say whatever you want about any person involved with Tesla, but you can look at the proof for yourself. There you go. So what happened to Tesla? In fact, let's go to TSLA and take a look and see. What did it do today? Let's go on the day. It dropped. But what happened to the SPY on the day as well? The SPY says we dropped. And it looks very similar. The SPY had a little pump. Tesla didn't. But we had this big drop. This was the volume spike. This was you have pre-market. Boom. You have market. There's this pump. Everyone thinks it's good. Then it crashes a little bit. But then the bears start getting overconfident and it starts to squeeze slowly. It's a slow squeeze. It doesn't have to be this big pump for it to be a squeeze. It can literally just be it doesn't go down anymore. That can also be a squeeze. It's people that are piling in at the wrong time because a lot of people trade looking for confirmation. I think that's one of the big problems with trading is looking for confirmation is not as easy as people think. It's not like I have to watch the move for a while and then I can get more. That's the I'm going to get annihilated on my trade strategy. If you're ready to absolutely blow yourself out, wait too long for confirmation and get rejected going the opposite way. That's what most people's experience with trading is. And that's why they hate it. Because they see this whole thing go down and then they get in like right here and it doesn't. It slowly trends up and they sell right here. And they're like, but after hours it's down. Yeah, because you did what everyone else did. You wanted the quick buck. You saw the thing happen. You got in too late and everybody else had the same thought. There's a bunch of volume, but it's a small amount of traders that make this move. Huge volume, small traders, boom, everything moves. And then what's left over, all those scraps are fought over by the little traders. Now people are scalping this, they're getting little gains out of it, and they're getting little losses out of it. But most people are trying to pile in, and it didn't work for them. And then after hours, it was done, so they all got out right here. That's why it was squeezing up at the end. It's not an easy game, and people don't understand it. So Tesla did the exact same thing. It just didn't have that same amount of pumps. So let's take a look at Tesla again. Tesla went sideways and then continued to go. Well, it did have a little bit of a pump, but basically to me, this is flat. I'm not looking at specifics. I'm not a scalper. I'm not a day trader. I look at long-term data. So I want to look at Tesla on the year to date. It's flat. Look at that. If you were to ask anybody, they'd tell you that it's absolute doom and gloom. Let's see, what's 1 week? There you go. 1 week looks bad. 1 month looks eh. 3 months looks eh. Year to date looks eh. 1 year looks bad. But 5 years doesn't look too bad. And max, forget about it. This is at an amazing buying opportunity. This is at an amazing buying zone, an accumulation area that allows you to have a decent average in where the stock is going. Now, these kind of pumps do get rejected, which is why we have had the multi-year downtrend. But in that downtrend, it hasn't been perfectly down. Look at these spikes. These are high volatility spikes. So anybody that's tried to trade Tesla has gotten chewed up by these spikes if they weren't quick about it. With me, I'm done in a matter of days at the most. I honestly, I want to hold it overnight. That's how I trade. If I'm mostly a long-term investor, so when I trade, I want to be overnight. I want to gap up in the morning because I'm mostly a long trader. I want to get out of it quickly. I know the thing's going to run, but I want to get out of it. So what happened with Tesla? It reported earnings. I literally bought the bottom here. This last day, April 23rd. Okay, maybe not quite the bottom. So I think I bought the day of. Yeah, I bought the day up towards the end of the day, so I was winning this trade with just one quick night, and I dumped this next day. I mean, I missed the big pump the day after that, but I don't care. I got this nice pump right here, and that's what I was looking for. When everybody hates it, it's traded down. Bad news won't drop it because they released more bad news. That's why you see this big dump right here, because they said, oh, we're not going to meet a few different sales estimates. We're not going to meet revenue estimates. We're not going to meet this, that, and the other thing. I don't even care what they said, but it was basic stuff. It wasn't that bad. If you look at things from a general perspective, it wasn't that bad. You can get all into the weeds with Tesla and say it's terrible, but look what happens to you. You help the stock squeeze. So when even the people that like the stock are saying this is going to be a bad quarter, that's when you go long. So that's, if you want the easiest trading strategy on the planet, here it is. Let a stock fall for 2 straight years, like Tesla. When did this peak? October 21, 3 straight years. I mean, this pump is something at the beginning of 2023. Everything was pumping, and I nailed that too because this was just too much. And there's going to be rebalancing at the beginning of the year for the new tax season. So why the hell would it keep going in an environment where it already come down so much? With other factors as well, but still. So anyway, I caught that with everything, man. I was in Meta, I was in Amazon, I was in all these different stocks. But that's beyond the point. So for 2 straight years, it's basically been going down with some exceptions here and there. And then it's going to hit earnings, and finally, even the long-term bulls think it's going to crash. When everybody thinks, when a stock is sitting at 150, or what was the absolute bottom of that? 147. So when the stock is sitting at 140 after coming down for 2 straight years, and it's a good quality company in general, when they make the price target $100 to start, you know they're being overly bearish and they're butthurt. That's when the butthurt causes it to pump. So we switch back to the month. The butthurt was absolutely at maximum. They need to find some kind of indicator. This is like the butthurt indicator, because that's the best way to trade. Forget the stochastics, forget the RSI, forget the MACD. All that stuff is terrible. If you get the butthurt indicator, that's how you're going to make money. So the best trade you can make is find a quality company that everybody hates. Don't get emotionally invested in the company like everybody is, because Elon Musk is an emotional person. He's a polarizing figure. You know, he's like Donald Trump light. Not in their politics and their societal views and the way they address the world and their temperament and all that stuff. I'm just saying in their polarizing percentage, they're both extremely polarizing. Like, nobody's more polarizing than Donald Trump on the planet right now. 100%. That guy wins, hands down, for the most polarizing person around. But Elon Musk is up there. So there's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of people that hate him. They're in the weeds about something. And that's why they hate him in these like niche areas. Everybody I've talked to like tells me how much they hate the guy. And I'm like, okay, can you give me reasons why? And they never give me a reason. They just tell me he's terrible. And I'm like, okay, why is he terrible? Tell me why he's terrible. They can't think of anything. Maybe some random thing here and there. And it's like, I know I'm putting you on the spot, and that's hard because I don't do well on the spot either. But if you really hate the guy to the point where you're trying to convince others to hate him too, you need to have a basic articulated reason that you can just fire off. And most people don't. They just know it's cool to not like him right now. And there are some things about him that are terrible. And there are some things like about his personality, about his past, about the way he conducts himself that are absolutely awful. So I understand why people don't like him. But all the fanboys have this, they're seeing that like, hey, there's bullish stuff within Elon Musk. Whether you like him or not, there's potential. He is smart. He is capable. And his track, number one, forget everything else, his track record. What does his track record say? And that's what people don't realize about stocks. What does the track record say? It says Tesla has the chance to do this. What did it do in 2020? If I switch this back to 5 years, 2020 was that all day. The reason Tesla got so high is because everybody's shorting it. Not everybody. All the bears were shorting it over and over and over and over. Go look at Gordon Johnson. That guy made a career out of telling people that Tesla was terrible throughout this whole thing. They're done, they're done, they're done, they're done, they're done, they're done, they're done. And you know what? I shorted it too. You know where I shorted it? Right in, where is it? Right in here. Like July, August. At the time, it hadn't split, so it was around $1,400. So I shorted this thing at $1,400 2 splits ago. And it went up to $1,700. And that wiped out a huge amount. Probably the most I'd ever taken, the worst loss I'd ever taken up to that point. And I realized, okay, you know, I wasn't dogging on Tesla or Elon or anything like that at the time. I was just thinking, this has gone out of control. It's probably going to go down. Stocks normally do that. I've been watching them for years now. Well, it didn't. Some stocks are different. Tesla was different. Nvidia, Tesla, and Bitcoin all had the same thing. When you're a Tesla, when you're a Bitcoin, when you're an Nvidia, you never short it. Okay? I don't care how good it looks, how huge the drops are when it does drop. You don't short Tesla in 2020. You don't short Nvidia Q1 2024. Everybody, that's the same thing that happened. Everybody hated Nvidia. They thought it was done. Nvidia was over $1,000. So I went in after it had dropped from $1,000 to like 800 something. I went in with calls hardcore because there was nobody that was saying it was going up. Everybody said it was going down. It had like 3 straight massively red days beforehand, and the past week had been sketchy. And I was like, okay, if even the bulls think that it's going down, I'm ready to go long. And that's what I did with Tesla. Tesla did the same thing. Let's take a look at Nvidia real quick so we can recap that. Nvidia 3 months ago. Boom. Look at this. February 21st. Look at that. So this is the day that I decided to buy calls in Nvidia. Is this the day? Pretty sure that's the day. I don't have Thinkorswim because it wasn't working before stream, but at the early part of the quarter, they reported earnings for Q4 2023, and that was when everybody thought the world was over. Now we're reporting for Q1 2024, and Nvidia is coming up soon again. Now Nvidia is significantly higher than this point. Let me switch that to year to date. There we go. That makes it a little easier. So yeah, Nvidia had come up. It peaked at 950. So maybe it wasn't. I thought it was 1,000. So it was around 1,000, and it started to go down for a couple. I guess it was a while. It was longer. No, that's March. So where's February? This seems wrong. So maybe it wasn't February. Whenever the drop was, I was in Nvidia hardcore. Actually, this is too late. So maybe it was this drop. Yeah, this was it. February. Yeah, it had come down from a peak of 739. No, it was higher than that. This is weird. So I don't know what's going on, but I was in before earnings. It was a massive pump the day after. Everybody was surprised by it, but me. And the reason they were surprised was because they all thought it was going down at the same time. So that whole quote, that whole when there's blood in the streets and, you know, you buy when everybody's fearful and you sell when everybody's greedy, it's easier said than done. Not everybody can do that. So that's how that's why the butthurt meter is perfect, because the butthurt meter tells you when it's time to buy when everyone's fearful. Now, selling when everyone's greedy, that's a different scenario altogether. It's not easy to figure out when to sell. Believe me, I sold everything too early. I sold Bitcoin in the 20K range in 2021. I sold Doge mostly at a penny and almost all the rest of it at 8 cents. I had this tiny amount riding up to 70 something cents. You know, I could have been a millionaire off Doge alone, and I dumped it at a penny. You have no idea how terrible that was the thing. That was my ticket. I had Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, you name it. I had it all at the time. I had Waste Management as a stock. You know, I had so many good stocks in the double digits. I had Alibaba, like, you know, early on before it hit to $200-300. It was, you know, I would have been done years ago if I had just stuck with my basic investing strategy. In fact, no, I wouldn't have, because I probably would have held through the downturn. I wouldn't have sold at the top, but I could have. And that's what's going to happen to you. You're not going to sell at the top. It's not easy. So it looks like I've got a break coming up. I'm going to keep talking, but I need to make a couple of points here before I get off. Soon, I'll be back. But right now, enjoy this break. So anyway, with Nvidia, I called the bottom of of this current range because everybody hated it, including the people that like it. That's how you tell when it's time to go long on a stock. When even the people that like it are saying this isn't going to be a good quarter for XYZ, that's when it's a good time to gamble on something. Now, you should never gamble with a lot of money. You always gamble with an amount you're okay losing. And when I say okay losing, I mean, like, you're not going to be upset about it for a week or a month. Like, some people are okay losing a bit, but then if they lose too much, they're done for, you know, weeks on end and their life is over. No, just because you can get through that isn't sufficient. You need to be okay within like a day or two. yeah, if you're ready to size up, it's going to hurt a little bit. You're definitely not going to be cool for the day, but you need to be like, all right, it's been a couple of days, I'm good now. That's the amount of size you need to put up on any trade you're confident about. It doesn't matter if that's the one that's going to make you a millionaire, because you're never going to find that one. Okay? You're never going to find that one when you're trying. It's going to be an accident, and you're going to sell too early every time. But if you do that enough, you can accumulate enough wealth to get back into it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm waiting. Bitcoin is down to 60K. Everyone's upset about the fact that it was 74, 72, whatever it was, just a month and a week, a half ago, let's say. A month and a half ago, it was in 70K range, and now it's at 60. So the world's over, right? People bought at 70, people bought in the mid 60s. They're all down right now. But that's part of it. Look at the volatility in this range back here. I mean, it went from the 60s to the 30s in a very short amount of time. So between early May and the end of May, so within a matter of like 2-3 weeks, it cut in half. That's devastating to people to go from the 60s. This says 50 something right here, but it was in the mid to high 60s at that point, because this is consolidating that time period. It was only in the mid to high 60s for days at a time. So most of the time it was lower than that, which is why you're seeing on the long-term chart this show up as less than it is. It was in the low to mid 60s the first time. It came down for a little bit, and then it peaked in the mid to high 60s before it crashed to the 30s, and actually to 29, 28, something like that. I remember looking at it because I was thinking, if this goes below 30K, I'm ready to buy hard. And I bought some, but I didn't buy as hard as I wanted to, because I saw this drop and thought, well, if this went from 60 to 30, it can easily go back to 20 or 10. But what did it do? Shot back up to 60. So I bought a tiny amount, didn't have as much as I want, and it went so high and things were getting so crazy that I just couldn't hold it anymore. So the luckiest thing I ever did in my life, which really wasn't because I didn't have enough to make it matter, was I sold at the day that it started to drop. The absolute peak. The day that it peaked, your boy was out. How many people can say that? I sold the top. I didn't have enough worth selling, though. So it was nothing. And you know when I started buying back? The 50s, the 40s, 30s, the 20s. So throughout all of this, throughout 2021 and 2022, I was just getting annihilated in crypto. No matter what I did, I was getting annihilated. And all those friends that were so into it in 2021, they weren't so into it anymore. And I was saying, hey, this is the time. They're like, yeah, I don't have any money. I know. I don't either. I dumped a bunch of it. I lost some of it. I did other things with it. But I saved at least some so that I could continue to buy as long as it was down. And I know that in the past, it's been down for long periods of time. So I was expecting it to do that again, which is what it did. But people, when it started to flip around, so at this point right here, when it was in the teens for, let's say, November 11th to December 30th. So you had just under 2 months to get that teen range for Bitcoin. When it pumped up to the 20s, everybody was expecting it to go to 10. They thought this was just a little stop on the way down because that's all they'd seen. All they knew was like a year or maybe even just a few months of bull market, and then everything went crazy and crashed. And that's all they'd known for a year and a half later. So the first half a year, everything was up, and it was all good, and it doesn't matter what you do, you're making money. And then for the next year and a half, you're down. How many people do you think stayed through that? Not many. Even the friends that I talk to all the time, they were all discouraged. Even though a lot of them stuck with it, and they're still in it today. But they were discouraged enough not to go too crazy with it. At the times, they all should have been buying. Some of them were buying a little, but some of them were buying none. Because you were just losing, and you needed to get out of things right away. You needed this to save your life right then. But it's not time. In a bear market, it's not going to save your life. You got to let it go. You got to buy. You got to be prepared. When you're in 2022, you need to be prepared for 2024. Don't think about 2022 when you're in it. Think about 2024 and get ready to buy and get crushed every day. That's the only way you're going to make money is if you waste it in the short term doing the thing you don't want to do, because it's not a waste. You know what is a waste? Not buying in 2022. What do you think those people did with that money they would have put into the stocks? Or what do you think they did instead of doing the thing to get the money to put into stocks? Do you think they did stuff that's paying off right now? No. They did stuff they regret or they wish they had been doing other things. All of us do. I didn't buy as much as I wish I had. Even though I was buying, it was painful, but it's still like not enough. But I did it anyway because this is what happens. And when we go through these downturns, that's what you have to think. You have to be prepared to buy it at 71 and also 10. You have to be prepared to buy Bitcoin at 10, not 10K, $10. If it dropped to $10, you got to be ready to buy it. Now, in reality, if it did that, there'd be some serious problem. But your mental state has to be okay with that. Whatever price, because whatever price it goes to is going to shock you. You're not ready for 60 to 30, but it could easily go 60 to 30. Does that mean the bull market is over? No. That means we've had a correction along the lines of this, or even before that, which we can't see because this is so insane, it blocks it out. It looks flat. So at some point, this is also going to look flat. That's what I want you to take home. So that's what I want you to think when you're looking at charts, when you're looking at investments. This compared to where we are now is going to look like this at some point. If Bitcoin is 250K or 500K or whatever stupid price target all those fucking idiots say, it's going to look flat. And here's the thing. Those idiots were saying 5K, 10K, 20K years ago. And we're way above that now. They don't look like idiots. They were idiots. They're still idiots. But they're able to say like, hey, whatever. Though this trend looks like it could do this. So I'm just going to say it in case it does. That's all you need to know. It's done. It's proved itself multiple times. Why wouldn't it be able to at least do some percentage of that again? That's all I'm saying. Take your lumps. Get hit. Put your money in no matter how low all this stuff goes. Your stocks, your Forex, whatever it is. If you're confident in it, just take the fucking hits and instead of buying the fast food or the games or whatever it is that you're distracting yourself with, just put it into the thing that's hurting you. Put it into the thing that you believe in but hurts you. Just be able to take that pain. Work on taking that pain because that emotional work will spill over onto the rest of your life. The fact that Bitcoin hurts you so bad will help you in life when something else hurts you that bad. Oh, I just hit Steam. Dang it. Anyway, that's my point for the day. If you're looking at what you think should happen or what you're afraid of, you're not going to see what's actually happening. So that's what I've been doing. I've been putting my bias aside and saying, Bitcoin continues to do this. Crypto continues to do this. The market continues to do the same thing. Let me flip back over to that. What does the market look like year after year after year? I can't see. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, NVIDIA. If we go back to SPY, year after year after year, the market is up. It's going to do the same thing. We're going to have drops, but those drops are going to correct. So you got to be ready to get absolutely hammered during those drops because it'll be worth it. So all the people that I was talking to that were afraid to buy, they regret it. Everybody regrets it now. 100% regret. We haven't even gotten to the end of this bull market and people are regretting not buying and they're still not buying. That's the key. All these people that regret not buying in the teens are still not buying in the 60s because they think it's going to go back to the teens, or it could go. And yeah, it could. But you know what you do? You buy it. You buy it at 40, you buy it at 30, you buy it at 20. And if it doesn't go well, think of this. What were you going to do with that money that you put into that? You're going to get fast food? Or are you going to watch Netflix? Or are you going to do some project that you don't care about? Or are you going to take a dumb trip that you're not going to be satisfied with? It's the same thing. You're going to waste it either way. And at least you have an interesting story to tell. And at least you threw your hat in the ring. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and all those idiots threw their hat into the ring, which is why they're not idiots. They may not be what other people think they are, but they took the risks and they paid out. Even if they had a leg up from most people. There was a thing going around today about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. And it was showing how all of them had a leg up on average people. Yeah, that's true. That's important to note. But they still took risks. It doesn't matter where you are. You take risks. For every successful billionaire, how many failures do you think there are? More. There are more failed millionaires and billionaires than there are successful ones. A small percentage continues to succeed. A lot of people get some kind of success and they just drive it into the ground. Look at professional athletes, right? Was this whole Mike Tyson and Jake Paul deal? I just saw a thing talking about how Mike Tyson made like $500 million throughout his active career, and he still went bankrupt. I know people that are broke as hell and aren't bankrupt, but a 500 millionaire is bankrupt or went bankrupt at one point in time, even though he's probably doing well now with podcasting and it's like Jake Paul shit. Yeah, it can happen to anybody because they're not paying attention. What's funny about the Mike Tyson thing is all he had to do was take he could have taken less than $1 million in the early 90s. He could have taken like tens of thousands of dollars, put it into a really basic investment account, a passive investment account, and been absolutely fine today if he hadn't done a single other thing. But what did he do? He bought mansions and tigers and shit. And he got in trouble, went to jail, and did all this stuff. He wasted all of his money because he was young. And he spent his whole life training. He didn't know what to do. And people didn't talk to him about finance until he was already rich. And by that point, he was fighting crazy people and he really had to concentrate on it. You know, it's the same thing with any professional athlete. You think Michael Jordan, LeBron James, you name it. They were just trying until they eventually did, even if they had legs up. I mean, how many rich people's and famous people's kids don't make it into professional sports or into acting or whatever it is? A lot. Because they're not all special, you know? It still takes risk, and that's the thing that you have to be ready for. Risk. So ask yourself, how can I take a risk that if I fail allows me to be okay in 2 days? That's how you succeed. You say, all right, maybe I'm not going to make as much on this, but I can put this much in. If I lose 100% of it, I'm okay. Well, great, do it. That's why I'm still around. Why am I not a millionaire? Because I don't put my net worth into 2-day to expire options. I don't buy meme coins with a mortgaged house. I just say, you know what? I can afford a couple $100 on this. I can afford $50 on that. I can afford a couple thousand on this. And I just do that. I don't say, well, maybe I can afford a few thousand, but if I put in 10,000 or 20,000, I could be done. Yeah, maybe. But what'll most likely happen? You'll get crushed. So if you throw that much on and you get crushed and that much is a lot to you, good luck making that back. If you started like me with a few $100 or $1,000, I started with $1,500. I put some of that into crypto and the rest I tried to trade. So I think I put probably about 500 to 600 in crypto, and I was trading with 900 to 1,000. Maybe I think at one point I was trading with like 600 or 700 initially. And that just didn't go well. Because Bitcoin, crypto cut in half a couple months after I got into it. You know, the stock trading thing didn't do well, especially since I was trying to trade penny stocks and had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely not helping. But I eventually started investing. And the investing thing did a lot better than all the trades. Crypto did the best out of everything, which is why I still pay attention to it. Because crypto was in the quadruple digits at the time. You know, people were worried about it going into the hundreds. That was the talk I heard all the time. Oh, Bitcoin went from 20K to 6K. That means it can go to 800 and then it can go to 100 and blah, blah, blah. Nope, it went to 3,200-ish and then it pumped forever. It never got that low again. All I needed to do was buy just a little bit right there, and that was good. But I was trying to trade. I was trying to do what we all do. I was trying to get money now. I was trying to get the dildo in my ass. Bring it all back to that. So my plans are to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm heavily invested in crypto. I'm making occasional trades, but not very many. I've made about 5 this year. I traded Nvidia to the upside before earnings, got it. Traded Tesla to the upside before earnings, got it. Made my best trade of my life on TKO before they signed that deal to the upside, got it. And then there's just been a few randos here and there that I honestly don't even remember. I did Wendy's. So that's one. I basically broke even on Wendy's. I took a loss on one set of contracts and I took a very slight profit on another. And I actually sold it a couple of days before those contracts would have been pretty decent. But that's what happened. So basically I broke even on Wendy's. I bought something that I'm forgetting. It was a small percentage. And I know I had at least one more big trade early on. So that's basically been it. And I see people make more trades than that in a week, even in a day. But that's not the key, because it eliminates losses or it reduces losses. If you can reduce the amount of trades you make You can reduce the amount of losses you get. And if you take those trades only when they're the best, like here's the thing. I'm bragging about these trades, but I didn't want to take any of them. Except a TKO I did want to trade. But Nvidia and Tesla, I did not want to trade that. So that's the other part of the secret. You can use the butthurt meter, but the other part of the trade is you have to listen to your gut. And your gut is going to tell you, I don't want to buy this. When Bitcoin was at 16K, my gut was saying, do not buy. It's going to 10. You can buy way more if you just wait. But I had to say, sorry, my strategy says I need to be buying. So I did. But my gut and my strategy had a battle, and I didn't buy as much as I wanted because the gut said, no, it's going to 10. Don't do it. It's going to 10. You lose every time you buy. It just goes down. Don't buy it. Well, good. That means you get to buy it cheaper at a better price. It's a good thing that it goes down. But I did it. My strategy made me do it. My strategy made me buy Nvidia because nobody thought it was going to go up, and it had already dropped $200. That's why the chart was dumb. I know it went from like 1,000 to 800 something or even 700 something. It was at least a $200 drop. I remember saying that on X, going like, it's dropped $200. There's all these, like, why are you guys being so bearish? It's already corrected a huge amount. It's not going to correct. Like, people thought I was going to go to 800 to like 200. Are you crazy? During this AI boom, when everybody thinks AI is going to take over the world, whether it will or not, most people think it will. Like, they're going to put their money on that because they're afraid of it. What has fear? Same thing with Elon Musk. People are afraid of him. He's putting chips in people's brains. He's going to control the entire world with Tesla and Neuralink and Boring and SpaceX. He's going to have space satellites, space travel, chips in your brain, electric cars, a power grid. He's going to have an Optimus robot that can literally murder you, helping you throughout the day. He's going to have insurance. He's going to be digging holes in the ground so they can run things. He's going to have technology that space programs and electric car programs can do. He's going to have control of mining. He's going to have control of shipping. He's going to have control of every single aspect of the entire business. It's going to be vertically and horizontally integrated to the core at some point. And that's terrifying because he's literally going to own everything. At least possibly. Maybe he won't. But the potential that he will is why people don't like him. And the other reason is because he's going to own everything, and he makes jokes about dicks online all the time, and he makes political jokes that people don't like. It's terrifying to know that somebody that owns everything doesn't think the way you think. Well, yeah, guess what? A lot of people don't think the way you think. In fact, most of the people in control, in charge, in power, don't think the way you think. And it's not because they think differently than you in a sense that's scary. It's because they're willing to look at the scary things that you're not and confront them. That's why people are successful. The really successful ones that continue on are successful because they're looking at the things everyone's afraid to look at. And the stock market's the same way. I'm not afraid to admit that this thing has gone up and I missed my chance to really buy in down here. It might go back to this point. In fact, I think this correction has a little bit more in it, but I don't know for sure. And my head says that there's more correction. My gut says, hell no, there's not. Look at this trend. This is good. Take advantage of this while you can. If it goes from here to 40, that's still good. If this thing gets to 40 with all the buyers we have now, it's time to pretend that it's the same as when it was at 16. Because if it bounces from there and it's at 120K and you're trying to catch it then, you're going to wish you bought it at 60 or 40. You know, you're going to wish, oh my God, it went from 60 to 22 and I didn't buy any of it. It bounced off the original resistance from 2020 or from 2017, 2018. And I didn't buy it. Now I'm trying to chase it at $150. You think $150, that's not realistic. Yeah, it is. If this thing was less than a penny a little over a decade ago and now it's worth $60,000, it can easily double from here. It can go from 70 something to 140 or 150 something. Once it passes a high, round numbers are goals. Like 100K, I think is basically done at this point. I would be absolutely shocked if Bitcoin didn't at least hit 100K. Even if Bitcoin goes to zero in the future because of whatever reason, I still think it's going to hit 100K relatively soon, before the end of the year. Most likely. That doesn't mean it will, but I think it's more likely than not it will. My gut says it's more likely than not. My head says that's possible, but there's so much ahead, and it's trended sideways for so long, and we've had all this stuff. It's all priced in, blah, blah, blah. All the same stuff that people say online and complain about because they're listening to their head. My gut says, yeah, all that, but that's the same stuff they say all the time. They said that when it crashed and when it went from 20K to 3K, they said it was done. And every time it came up, when it was at 12K for a long time, that was it. It was trending sideways. It's 12K. This is over. But then right after 12K, it's when it shot up to 60. So long sideways trends are consolidation periods that allow for the springboard to the next level. That's why this is bullish. That's why being at 60K after it peaked at 74 or 73, whatever it was, that's why this is bullish. So let's year to date this thing so I can get a more accurate price. What does Robinhood say this peak was? 73 something. So 73 a month and a half ago at 60 now. That's flat. All right. I want to tell you right now that 73 to 60K is flat. It hasn't gone down a penny. It's still at 73K. All right. If you're not willing to admit that it's still at 73K while you're seeing this kind of loss in your portfolio, then you're not ready for the next step. If it goes down to 45K, it's dipped a little bit. It's flat from 73 to 60, maybe even the high 50s. But if it goes to 40s, that's a dip. I will finally admit that it's a dip if it goes to the 40s or the low 50s. But until then, it's sideways. And if you think you're so smart and it's not, then go ahead and short it. Go ahead and short Bitcoin right here at 60K. Let's see what happens. Take all your money and put it short with 100x leverage and no hedges. Do it. You think you're the best? You think you know what's going on? No, you don't think you're the best. But you think you know what's going on? You think I'm an idiot because I think it's going higher? Then short it. Right now. Short it. You won't. Why? Because part of you knows that it's going to go. And part of you knows that it could go. At any moment. And that's right. That's your gut telling you, this is scary. I know this could happen, which is why I don't want to spend money on it. So you need to listen to your gut because your gut is the thing that retains the memories of pain. Your mind doesn't retain the pain. Your mind retains the logic. Your gut, your heart, all that stuff retains the pain. And the pain is the thing that will actually let you trade properly if you listen to it and you're not controlled by it or afraid of it. So that's all I have to say tonight. I'm going to get going and start thinking about what I'm doing. On the 22nd, I'm going to be back with the camera, making an absolute fool of myself, playing the brand new EverQuest TLP server. I don't even know what it's called, but I'm ready. You know, I'm not ready, but I'm ready. That's how I approach everything, which is why I realized I can't think I know everything about trading. You have to be able to operate without your cognition guiding you. We get so lost in this fact that we have to know what's going on. We have to be secure because we want to avoid the pain. We want to get to the pleasure. We want to do whatever it is, put up the defenses that our experience and our choices have led to. We don't want to realize that, hey, yeah, we're in a minefield, but nobody's helping us. There's nothing there that's going to help us. There's nobody there that's going to help us except for us. If there's no way to know, how do you act? And I think that's why people fail at trading, because there literally is no way to know. Even if you have insider knowledge, something crazy could happen. And that's what happens with these earnings. That's why I went against the crowd with Tesla and Nvidia. I knew they were getting too confident. If the bulls are shorting too, that's when you're going to get a squeeze. That's just basic mathematics. A lot of share short means a lot of covering if you're wrong. So if you're tired of being stuck in that place, you have to be willing to lose the bullshit that you put in. So don't put in too much. And just look at what you have confidence in. You don't like Bitcoin? Okay, buy something else. You don't like crypto? Okay, buy some stocks, buy some bonds, buy some Forex, buy some derivatives, buy some kind of money market fund, buy a passively managed fund. I don't care. Look at something you're interested in, do the research, talk to people about it, and take the jump. You know, just take it responsibly. If you fail, who cares? What were you going to do? If you don't want to invest, then take the jump and doing the thing. Do you want to become a movie star or like a touring musician? Then buy the instrument or start singing and actually just do it. Even if it's not as perfect as you think, just doing it will allow you to incrementally improve and get towards your goal. Let's say you want to be a musician and you make one album and it's terrible. How many people have an album? Very few. I do. I made 2 really shitty ones. And they're not really, really shitty, but if you look at it, listen to a good album and then you listen to mine, you'd be like, yeah, that's some amateur made that and it's not that good. Okay, great. I have a crap album. Do you have one? No, you don't have an album. Do you have your art on display? Do you have the videos you wanted to make? Do you have anything? Did you build something? Did you write something? Did you raise a family? Did you create something of value? Maybe. But I think most likely you're just running from the fear of doing those things, just like most of us. And I refuse to do that. You only got so long on this planet, so I'm going to take some risks, but I'm going to do it responsibly. So until then, the bull market is on. Fuck the bears. The lower you go, the better it is. Everybody have a good weekend. Stay safe and don't listen to the FUD.